All right, so we're here talking about targeting. We've got keywords, product targets, audiences. Three different ways to control how you're going to get your product ads in front of the right customers. So first up, we're going to talk about keywords. And just so everyone knows, this is kind of still, we're still getting used to this Lightboard thing. We think it's a cool idea, but I'll probably be having a few mistakes here. So bear with me. It'll get better as the course goes on. But with keyword targeting, we have these primarily for sponsored products and sponsored brands. So as you know, there's three campaign types: sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display. But if you're trying to do keyword targeting at the moment, we can only do these with sponsored products and sponsored display, sponsored brands. These models are a CPC model, which is important to note because Amazon's actually going to have a couple different ways in which you could decide how you want to be bidding. Are you bidding for only when someone clicks on your ad, or do you want to pay for the amount of impressions? Usually those impression-based models are better if you're trying to focus on building brand awareness. But when we're going after keywords, going through search, typically we're going to be going off of a cost per click because we're trying to drive traffic to these product pages. Within keywords, we also have the ability to control match types. So we've got our campaign types. Our cost is going to be cost per click. And then we also have our match types. We have exact, phrase, and broad. And I know my handwriting sucks. So with our match types, we're going to have, I believe it's the very next lesson, we're going to be going in depth into each of these match types, but it's important to keep in mind that for this lesson, what these are going to allow us to do is essentially control that targeting to either very specific levels of targeting, which is going to just give us more control and more specificity with which customer we're actually placing our ads in front of. And then when you start working your way down to phrase match and broad match, it really opens up the umbrella of that approach with who we're actually going after. And so we're going to be talking about those more independently in the next lesson. Then when we come to product targeting, it's going to be pretty similar to keywords. However, we have our sponsored products, sponsored brands, and sponsored display. I was wondering if I should just turn that into a D. But we have sponsored products, sponsored brands, and sponsored display. So product targeting is the only one that's going to be available for all three match types. All three campaign types, which is a little bit interesting. It's just kind of, I guess, a fun fact for products and everything that we're able to do there. And these are also going to be based on that CPC model. Now, similar to keywords in which we can control either the specificity or taking a much broader approach, product targeting is going to allow us to do something pretty similar in which we can target either individual products or we can target entire product categories. So it functions a little bit more similar to that ability to control the specificity versus taking that broader reach. So for example, if you're really trying to focus on growing sales, growing traffic, you might find that expanding outward and going after these wider audiences and trying to broaden that reach and get more impressions, more total clicks, these can be really helpful for growing your total sales. But when you're trying to focus more on efficiency and you can't afford to waste any money on someone who with these larger categories, there's a little higher chance of getting not the right customer clicking on your product, you can always narrow things down going into a more specific, more tight type of targeting. Now with audience targeting, here's where things get a bit interesting. Audience targeting at the moment is only available for sponsored display campaigns. So we can't actually target audiences with keywords or with products. Although I'm kind of suspicious that will be changing very soon, but at least for the moment, that audience targeting is only for sponsored display. Something else that's interesting with sponsored display is that we have the option of bidding with either a cost per click model or what's called cost per mil, cost per CPM, cost per 1,000 impressions. So instead of just paying Amazon for every time we get a click, we're going to be paying Amazon for every 1,000 impressions that we get. The reason why someone might opt for the CPM model or the CPC model within their display campaigns and within their audience targeting is really just a matter of a strategic business decision of what's the main goal of that campaign. Is the main goal to expand your total awareness? You're just trying to get your name in front of as many people as possible, just growing those impressions? Then you might like to go with the CPM model. If your goal is more trying to drive traffic to the product pages, you're probably going to want to go with the CPC model. But we're going to have a whole other episode or a whole other lesson dedicated to these sponsored display campaigns in particular. So we'll talk more about that. Now, when it comes to targeting audiences on Amazon, we don't quite have the same, exact or broad type targeting with these audiences. But if you want to think of it this way, there's a couple things that are a little bit similar. There's kind of 3 categories in which we can target folks on Amazon. We have views, remarketing, as well as purchases, remarketing. And then we have, maybe what we'll just call Amazon audiences. So with views and purchase retargeting, essentially what Amazon's giving us the ability to do is to place our ad in front of shoppers based on any other products that they've viewed or any products that they've purchased. They kind of put those in 2 separate categories. And what's cool about this is that what most Amazon advertisers end up doing is saying, hey, if anybody viewed my products but didn't purchase my product, then we're going to be retargeting them with these audience targeting ads. But you can also not just do your own products, you could also be going after competitors' products. So you can be looking at views or purchases for their tapping into their basically their shopping history on Amazon to generate these audiences which you're going to go after. Now, these ads are going to display all over Amazon, following these customers around Amazon, regardless of what they're actually searching into the search bar, because it's not targeting them based off their searches or the product pages. It's targeting them based off of their own shopping behavior. That's if you're doing views or purchases. When we get into the Amazon audiences, you could think of this as a little bit more of that broad match kind of category targeting, where it's not one-to-one correlated between the selected products that you're looking at with views or purchases, but you can actually get really broad and target Amazon shoppers based off of their lifestyle, their interests, whether they're in market for any type of product niche or product category in particular. And the way in which Amazon generates these audiences is, obviously, Amazon has quite a bit of data on us. They know everything that we're streaming on Amazon Prime. They can see every single purchase that we've made, every single search we've made. They know our age. And from our purchase history, Amazon does a pretty good job of estimating what our household income is. So you have even those types of audiences. You can target people who are typically high spenders, people who live active lifestyles. All these kinds of things Amazon has aggregated into these, or I guess they've taken all of their customers and shoppers and they've lumped them into these categories and labels that they've turned into audiences that we can now go after and pursue. One other thing that I think is very important to mention with all of this is that when we're talking about targeting, we're not necessarily talking about placement, meaning we're not talking about where our ads are appearing on Amazon. I think it's typical for some people to think keyword targeting means we're always going to be appearing in search, and product targeting means we're always going to be appearing on product pages. However, that is not the case. Either keywords or product targets or audience targeting can all end up either in search or on product detail pages. So that's kind of the final thing that we'll note here, that targeting does not equal placement. And we will later on talk more specifically about placements and how we can control those on Amazon. But for the time being, I just want everyone to keep in mind that when we're talking about these different targets, whether it's keywords, products, audiences, we're not talking about where on the Amazon platform our ads are appearing. We're talking about who are we targeting. Targeting is very much pertaining to the customer. So we're targeting these customers based off of the keywords they've typed in, based off the products that they're looking at, or based off any of this audience data that Amazon has about them, whether it's their shopping history, their views history, what they're watching on Prime, anything that Amazon's got there. When it comes to these placements, any of these ads can appear either in search, on the product detail pages, or really just anywhere else within the Amazon platform, even expanding into off Amazon placements. So keep that in mind. These are just the basics for you to understand around targeting, how we can work to get our products in front of the right shopper at the right time, and some of the costs associated with that. So let's switch over to our next lesson.